And he's talking to Davy, who's still in the Navy and probably will be for life. Yeah, I heard a story about that song, it's Piano Man by Billy Joel. I heard him explain that a lot of people will say, isn't that really corny? Like, that lyric is extremely corny. Davy's still in the Navy. Come on, why'd you write it that way? Don't you wish you could change it? And Billy Joel says that, like, why would I change it? That's really what happened. I knew a guy named Davy, and he was in the Navy. I didn't make that up. Sometimes things really are exactly what they seem. Sometimes they're not. I don't know. But anyway, critical theory is an ideology. It's a analytical tool whose only purpose is destruction. The intention of critical theory and its use is to tear down hierarchies, is to rebuild them in the image of some ideal equality or whatever it is. And it's always done by force. It's always really ugly. It's a destructive ideology, and that's pretty much all there is to it. And it never ends. It's a process that never ends. There is no end result of critical theory. You just keep applying it again and again and again and again, and it's just never-ending chaos, never-ending destruction, always upheaval, and all of that. And it's working its way through the church. There's just no question about it. Critical theory is working its way through our churches, and it's going to destroy some churches in the process. And we see examples of this happening all the time. This video, I want to talk about it because it's a very interesting video. It is a pastor that talks about why his church is going to be leaving the Southern Baptist Convention. I don't know anything about this guy. I don't know anything about his church. I don't know anything about his situation. I am simply going on the stated reasons in this video, and I think you should really give this man your ear. I think you should listen to this because there are a lot of other guys like this guy. This is not the only person who feels this way. And this is not the only legitimate response, because I was seeing somebody say that leaving the SBC, that's not the right response. We have to stay and fight. And, that kind of talk, that kind of language, I'm not in the SBC, but if I was, I would be very in line with that. We ought to stay and fight. You see, I think we should all kind of strive to put up with as much nonsense as we possibly can. But everyone has a line, and everyone should have a line where, look, I'm willing to put up with this, but I'm not willing to put up with this. And this man, in this video, he's reached that line. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is a completely legitimate strategy. If you're sick and tired of what's going on in the SBC, it is completely legitimate to leave. There's nothing biblically that forces you to stay. There's nothing, pragmatically that forces you to stay. Nothing like that. You can just leave. I mean, it's just that simple. You can just leave, and that's okay. Or you can stay and fight. And I think that that's completely, commendable. And I like I said, I'd be very susceptible to that kind of language. So let's watch this. I think it'll be interesting. I'll start and stop it and comment where I feel is appropriate. But I think you should definitely go and give this video a like. Leave a comment so that it gets seen more, the algorithm and all that kind of stuff. I would suggest doing that. I will have the link to the description in the description of this video. All right, let's get started.
For such a time as this.
And welcome back to For Such a Time as This, the place where there is no such thing as a silent witness.
That's right.
It hurts my heart to make this clip. Was born and raised in a Baptist church, moved up to D.C., did my undergrad, moved to Chicago, Illinois for a few years to work on my MDiv. And when I was in seminary, I had to make a decision to go either National Baptist or Southern Baptist. And at the time, the Southern Baptists were the most vocal, outspoken denomination in the country. If you remember, in the 90s, the Southern Baptists used to have these resolutions, and the news program used to go in, oh my goodness, did you hear what they said about marriage and men and women and homosexuality? And
So listen to what's being said here. This is interesting because I didn't know any of this stuff. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a Southern Baptist. I've only been a Christian since I was an adult. So I wouldn't have recognized some of this stuff. But to think that anyone in the media these days, anyone in the media is like freaking out because of the resolutions and what the Southern Baptist Convention says culturally is hard to believe for me. It's very difficult to believe because right now, I mean, almost without question, without exception, people expect Christians to maybe not be as progressive as they are, but right now we're on that part of the spectrum. You know what I mean? We're on their side on many issues. With the exception of abortion, but I mean, does the Southern Baptist Convention really do anything of any consequence anymore regarding abortion? They'll throw a bone every now and then. They'll write an article, things like that. But they still believe much of the progressive narrative, even of abortion, where it's like, well, it's a woman's a victim, and it shouldn't be illegal. I mean, we shouldn't criminalize it or anything. It should be illegal, yeah. But if you do it, I mean, criminal. The doctors, they're the ones that should be prosecuted. And all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I mean, there's still a lot of capitulation. There's just no question about that. And so this idea that he chose the SBC because they were outspoken, they were driving the political elite and the intelligentsia crazy with their beliefs. I mean, there's really only... I was about to say something really stupid. But, there's very few people that are driving the cultural elite in our country crazy these days with their statements. Very few. And Doug Wilson's one of them. He's not I was about to say he's the only one. He's not. But I'll tell you right now, CNN, MSNBC, they ain't scared of the SBC. They ain't scared of the PCA. Because in many ways, you're on the same side. Anyway, let's continue.
The secular world used to go crazy that the Southern Baptists dared to say this is what the Bible says and this is what we believe. Therefore, I affiliated with the Southern Baptists. That was in the mid-90s. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
I love this guy's cadence, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that, but he'll extend the last syllable. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I like that. I do.
The Southern Baptist has elected a president. The president of the Southern Baptist Convention. His name is J.D. Greear. And I saw an article that said he will now start using the preferred pronouns of transgender individuals. So he will now start use the pronouns of she and her to people who have penises. That's what J.D. Greear is going to do. I looked up some others.
Let me just stop you right there. Let me just say this. I appreciate so much a man who is willing to admit that, like it's like the emperor has no clothes. That boy doesn't have any clothes on. It's so obvious, but somehow it takes like a little bit of courage to say it. He says that J.D. Greear is going to start saying she and her to people that have penises. That's insane. Now, I could see, I'm just going to say this. I can see a situation where I would use someone's preferred pronouns, but in the context of a church, in the context of the Southern Baptist president, look, he doesn't really have any control over your life, but he sets the tone, right? I just can't see him saying the same thing for someone who believes that he's a wolf or like a canine, a dog, because there are people like that. There are people that believe that they have a wolf spirit, and I cannot imagine him saying, okay, well, it's a matter of hospitality. It's only hospitable. I appreciate this guy and his style. Like I said, I don't know anything about him really, but let's continue.
Stuff to verify it because I read the article, because I think clips are more powerful when it comes out of the person's own mouth.
I agree.
So here's J.D. Greear, president of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Okay, so he's about to play a clip from J.D. Greear. So this is one of his reasons that he's leaving, and so let's hear this out. Let's hear him out and see what he has to say. But again, I can imagine a context where it might be I might use someone's preferred pronoun. You know what I mean? But in the context of my own church, right? I cannot think of a good reason to do it, because you're essentially buying into their problems, their psychoses. You know what I mean? Like you're lending credence to it, and you shouldn't do that. There should be no quarter for such a thing in your church. If I don't know. Let's listen.
Jesus representing churches will be known as the friends of the LGBTQ community. And I think the question to us as church leaders, have you drawn the gay and lesbian community close? Are you an advocate against abuse, injustice, and discrimination on their behalf? Isn't that what you would do for a friend? I do want to apologize to the gay and lesbian community on behalf of my community and me for not standing up against abuse and discrimination directed towards you. That was wrong, and we need your forgiveness.
It'd be nice to know what he's talking about, and maybe he explains it. But the thing is, like, we got to understand that, like, there is no person, there is no Christian person who is for abuse, right? There is no Christian person that is for abuse. What's at play, though, and discrimination for that matter? What's at play is how you define these things, right? How you define abuse, how you define discrimination. Because I know people that would say that it is discriminatory to say that women cannot be pastors or elders. And they're right. It is discriminatory. But discrimination is not necessarily, always a wrong thing. There are some kind of discrimination that's necessary. We discriminate against younger people. They can't be president, right? My 4-year-old is not allowed to be president. And that's discriminatory. And there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. When I went looking for a wife, I did, in fact, discriminate against transsexuals. I would not have considered a transsexual to be my wife. So, like it all depends on how you define these things. So please, JD, please don't apologize for me. I am not sorry for things I didn't do. You know what I mean? And please, we need to be more specific here, because everyone's against abuse. Everyone's against discrimination. But this is exactly why. These reasons are, because I'm against abuse, I cannot be for a movement that wants to be proud about being abusers of themselves with mankind. That's a quotation from the King James Bible. Arsenokoitai, abusers of themselves with mankind. I'm against abuse, so I'm not for that community. Okay, I mean, that's pretty simple, right? So, this kind of stuff is weasel words. This is all weasel words. J.D. Greear is a big proponent of weasel words. And I reject that he's apologizing on my behalf, because I haven't done anything wrong in this area, and so I don't apologize. Anyway.
stand up and be among the fiercest advocates for the preservation of the dignity and the rights of LGBT people.
What rights? What rights? Well, I mean, because I might agree. I don't know. The right to exist? Yeah, okay. I'm for that. I'm for that. You have the right to exist. You have the right to your own property. Okay, I'm for that. You have property rights. Just because you're a homosexual doesn't mean you don't have property rights. Okay, cool. I'm for that too. But what rights are we talking about? The right to get married? Again, this is all weasel words because he doesn't define them. So it's weasel words. That's frustrating. He's frustrated
He wants
too.
to stand up for the rights of LGBT people. And
Let me just go out on a limb, and the basic rights that I just described, like property rights and stuff like that, I'm willing to bet that the pastor that you see on the screen, the pastor with that lovely cadence, is for those as well. But I can't imagine that's what J.D. Greear means, because nobody is against those rights, really. I mean, I don't know anybody like that. Let's see what he has to say.
it's a farce. It is evil to say something to the effect to whereas we don't want discrimination, abuse for the LGBT community. No one wants that. What Christian, show me what Christian is saying we should go out and kill LGBT people? No.
Pastor, I like how you think, brother. I like how you think. Because this is the first thing my mind went to as well. Who is for the abuse? Why are you apologizing for this? No, was anyone in the past for the abuse of these people? Because I know how they define abuse. They define abuse in like, well, you don't think that, you think it's a sin, what I'm doing. That's abusive. And it's like, well, no, it's not abusive. And I do think that, yes. So I know the propaganda. I like, you know what I mean? Like, I know the propaganda that they use against the church. And it sure sounds like you're going along with it. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
No one. I don't say it. No one at my church says it. But you see, when you lump it all together.
It's weasel words. That's what I'm saying.
Right? He doesn't want abuse and discrimination. And he ties it in with rights. And he's saying it's all one. No, I can disagree with the LGBT community and their practices. And I can lovingly tell them that God will judge their sin. That doesn't mean I'm advocating abuse towards them, but that's the language of the left.
Exactly. See, this guy, I like how this guy thinks. I like this guy because what he's doing, these are weasel words. This is the language of the left. This is their propaganda says, well, you've abused the homosexuals. When you get down to it, you say, well, give me an example of what are you talking about? It's never like actual abuse. It's usually just like, well, you said it's wrong that I'm doing this, and that hurts my feelings. And because you don't affirm me, that's why the suicide rates are so high. That's abusive. That's violent. That's literal violence, some of them say. And it's not. Again, it's not. But that's what they say. And since you're not qualifying it and using weasel words, it certainly seems to a buffoon like me that you're just going along with it because they're really, like, again, I know their propaganda. I know what it says. So you show me the period of SBC history when homosexuals would be rounded up and they'd be stripped of their property rights and they'd be thrown in the brig or something like that. You show me that and then apologize for that. Don't apologize for these weasel words.
That's what he does. That's, ladies and gentlemen, the president of the Southern Baptist Convention. He also says at the end, we should stand up for the rights of the murder.
Please, if you like that, give this video a thumbs up or comment in the comments. I love that. The rights. I gotta start employing that in my videos. That's good.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The rights of the thieves. No. The rights of the sexually perverted.
Oh, I
That's
see
what he
what
says.
he's doing here. I see what he's doing here, and that's another good point. What other sin group would he do this with? Because I'm for the rights of thieves, if you're talking about property rights. But I'm not for the rights of thieves to continue in their thievery. I'm not. I think I should be allowed to discriminate against thieves. You know what I mean? Like if a thief applies to my job opening, you know, and I just say, you know what, you're a thief, so I'm not going to hire you. You know, I think I should be able to do that. I mean, call me crazy. Call me crazy. But this is like the special sin group, and it's like only this is one of the only ones where it's like, oh well we no, but we have rights though, and nobody denies they have property rights and things like that. But no, you need to affirm this, and the answer is no. And this pastor is fed up, it seems.
Here's love, here's truth. 1 Corinthians 6:9, or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not be deceived, neither the sexual immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who practice homosexuality, nor thieves, the greedy, drunkards, revilers, swindlers will inherit the kingdom of God.
On behalf of the church, I would like to apologize for all of the abuse and the discrimination that swindlers have received at the hands of the church. I would like to apologize for that.
And such were some of you. He's saying you were that way, but you need to come out of it. You need to stop it. Such were some of you, but you were washed, sanctified, justified in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and by the Spirit of our God. He didn't apologize to the idolaters and the immoral and the adulterers. You know, he didn't apologize to the thieves, the greedy, the drunkards, the revilers. No, he apologized. He picks out the one group of sinners, and then he whitewashes them and says we need to apologize to the homosexual community. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I will officially end our relationship with our church with the Southern Baptist Convention, a convention that can elect such a man. It's not a convention that our local church wants to be affiliated with. So we got to write it up. We'll send it in. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the president of the Southern Baptist Convention. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
So there it is. I mean, you know, he joined the Southern Baptist Convention because they were taking courageous stances against the zeitgeist, against the spirit of the world, spirit of the age, all that stuff. And now he's leaving because they're no longer doing that. And so, listen, you might be able to argue with him. That's not why you should have joined the Southern Baptist Convention. Okay, fair. That's not why you should leave the Southern Baptist Convention. Okay, fair. But listen, there's going to be a lot of people like this. There are that are just not going to stay and fight. It's just not worth it to them. It's just not worth it to them. And I think this is a legitimate response. I don't think it's the only legitimate response, but just as a warning for you in the Southern Baptist Convention, you're going to have to avoid this. If you want to keep your church together, this is you have to consider this viewpoint. Because there is no question, none, that not only is the SBC not as conservative as it used to be, but it's also not as willing to stand in opposition to the way of the world. There's more willingness to sort of compromise and walk things back and maybe not go all the way woke, but some level of wokeness. And that is, in many people's eyes, a problem. Am I saying that J.D. Greear is an unbeliever, a wolf, and things like that? No, I'm not saying that. I don't think this pastor's saying that either. But it's nothing he wants to be a part of, and I can't blame him. I cannot blame him. Word of warning for you guys. I mean, I wish you Godspeed. I'll help you in the fight any way I can, even though I'm not a Southern Baptist. But there's going to be a lot more of this, because critical theory is designed to do this. And it works. It works. And it will continue to do this. This is not the beginning. This is not the end of it. This is what critical theory is designed to do. It will destroy the SBC. Anyway, I hope this was helpful.